Well, a jolly good morning to you all. I'm just frantically clicking me. Oh, yeah. I can watch it on my TV. It's all good. Everybody loves to know that. Hello, how are you all? Welcome. It is Wednesday's workshop, which means that it's not me today. Well, I'm here. Obviously, I'm here because I've got to push the buttons. But Jane's here. Half Pint's here. She has given her approval. She has watched you make this, hasn't she, Jane?
She has, yeah. She's never far away.
No, she has a big love affair going on with Jane. I think it's mutual. Whereas she sneezed on my head this morning, so she's not actually my favourite. And she bit me at the end of last session when I tried to remove her off the chair that I was sitting on. So, yes. That's the joy of an old cat. She gets away with murder. Good morning, Wendy. Good morning, Doc. Good morning, Darlene and Sally. Hello. And Hilary and Diane and Juanita and Shelley. Hello. Lovely to have your company this morning. We are, of course, live doing the block of the month. Now, this is the third block of the month, but due to fabulous pandemic excitement, the fabric is still at the docks and not here for block 3. So do not adjust your sets because we simply skip to block 7. No drama. Doesn't matter which order we do them in. It's just that if you like things in numerical order, yeah, it's going to really mess with your head. But sorry, sorry, but it really doesn't make any difference at all. So today we are going to do, I have to say, one of my favourites, this.
Yeah, it is lovely.
I heart these very, very much. And of course, Jane, being fabulous, decided last night, well, of course, it's the traditional kind of cat's tails. It's got lots of names, hasn't it, this one?
Yeah, it has.
But cat's tails is one, hence the cat cushion scenario going on here, which HP is now ignoring. Do you like it? Oh, yes. There we go. So we have got, oh, good morning, Crafty Purple Cat. You see, this is one for you. As your name suggests that you like cats. HP, we don't need that view. Again, you can go that way or somewhere else. We have got a couple of things for you then. I promised you more of the permanent fine line labelling pens for anybody that wants template plastic. Got that. Or I've got to load extra template plastic for someone as well. I must remember to do that. I'll do that when I'm sitting over there. I've also got a wipe off marker, which I've been using a lot. I rather like it. I rather like it a lot. So I've got that for you as well, which is a blue one. You just wipe it off. All is well with the world. But the permanent marker, you can mark school uniform, you know, if you don't want to sew everything in. I have childhood memories of my mother really, really not enjoying sewing name tags into school uniform.
Yeah.
And I had 9 changes of school, so that was a lot of sewing for someone that doesn't like it very much. Sorry, Mum. We shouldn't move so much. There we go. Now, we have got for you 2 different colourways in order to make the cushion, and the instructions, you can pre-order them now. They will be finished off. We sort of ran out of time, didn't we? Yes. So what we have got for you is this, which is Moda and Cream, with a little bit of batik in there as well. We're down to the last bits of the batik, so let me just show you this. Here we go. These are they. So you're going to get a half pint. That's not really helpful. Come on, out the way. There's a good girl. A ½ metre of the cream, then long quarters of each of these. These are Jo Morton from Shelbyville. Well, it's not. I don't think she's from Shelbyville. The collection's Shelbyville.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Shelbyville a place? Oh, American viewers. Tell me. Or are you all just still all electioning out? And these are your beautiful batiks, option number 1. But if you fancy having a jazzy cat, then this was such an exciting one to put the colours together for. Now, we had this as a ½ metre heaven, and it was the hardest one to decide because of all the gorgeous colours that were in it. I didn't want to just pick one, so actually we took it off ½ metre heavens and popped it in this little kit here, because then you get all the colours. Yeah. So a ½ metre of the black and then a long quarter of each of those, which is rather fabulous. Just see how those colours sing. This is a lovely golden batik. You've got a Baltic colour, a raspberry, a black, and of course your Pat Bravo I love that because it sort of looks like it's stitched.
Yeah, it does. It's a lovely fabric.
It is
It's
really lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, really pretty.
There we go. So that's sung to Jane, and we've got that on the show. But of course, today is the block of the month, number 7/3, which is, oh, there we are on the right one. We've got Susan and Audrey, hello, and Jenny and Sue and Dawn and Julia as well just joined us, and another Julia and Lorraine, hello, and Kirsty, good morning. I have a kit of this cushion from the Sewing Quarter days that I haven't had the confidence to start yet. They did a kit, didn't they? And then they did a faux kit where you didn't actually have to sew any of that. It was just like a panel of that. So I wonder if it's that one that you've got, in which case you don't have to worry, just sew around the edge, you'll be fine. Yes, Crafty Purple Cat does indeed love the cushion. Eric, what are you doing? Wait, it's animal madness in here today,
It's crazy, isn't it?
The puppies, the girls, have gone off with the dog walker this morning, which, Eric, oi, come here, come and say hello to everybody. Eric, here. There you go. Hello. Look, up there. There's your camera. That's the one. So he's going to come and sit down with me. I'm going to hand over to Jane. I'm going to take this over here and let Jane do her thing in a socially distanced, appropriate way. Come on, Eric. Up two. Come on, old man. Over here.
Go that way.
Well, it's like I might just bimble over there. Oh, I see HP. You've got my seat
Excuse
again.
me.
Right, you studio animals are going to have to go out, I think.
Oh, it's lovely having them around. It's really nice. It's part of the homely feel that we have here. It's lovely. I love it. Right. Are we ready for block 7?
Are you
3.
ready?
It's not how we were quite envisaging the block of the month going, but bless this international pandemic. It's scuppered our plans slightly. But there we go. We can carry on. And I've been reliably informed that the rest of the fabric is nearly here, so we won't worry too much. On its way.
We'll be fine for next month.
So, you've got your instructions. This is the block we're doing. I've called it Wave. It's got several different names. Twisted Tail, hence the cat, and it's also known as Snail Trail as well. This block is actually going to be a 6-inch finish, so it's sort of smaller because it's in the border. We just put it in as the cornerstones in this quilt here, so it's in the border, so it's a smaller block. We're going to make 4 of them. So I just wanted to go through the cutting of the fabric because usually I say cut a strip, subcut it in 2, but we've only gone with 1 strip and we're going to subcut that in 2 different sizes. So I just wanted to go over that just so that it's a little clearer, because sometimes, you know, when you read something you're like, I'm not quite understanding what this is saying. So you'll have your strip. This is a long 8, so it's 5 inches wide. Give it a bit of a best press and iron the creases out of it. And you're going to do each strip, you've got 4 colourways in this block, and you're going to do each strip exactly the same. It's a bit monotonous, this one, but actually lends itself quite nicely to chain piecing.
Oh, nice.
Now, in the instructions, I have said, hi HP, I've said to cut the strip down to 4 1/4, which is the largest square. But I was thinking about this and I was thinking you're not actually going to use the whole width of the fabric. So I'm going to show you how to do it so that you've got quite a nice bit of remnant left over. You really like that cushion, don't you?
She really likes the
You really love that cushion, but that's not the best view that you're presenting there.
Half pint.
Bless you. Right, so what I'm going to say is just trim your selvage off, lining up one of your straight edges of your strip with one of your lines on your ruler and just trim the selvage off.
HP, you're going to have to come out if you insist.
And then you're just helping, aren't you? Just helping.
Come on, HP, let's get you out of here. Sorry, Jane.
It's okay, don't worry. So the first square we're going to have to do is the largest square. I always work from the largest piece down. So the first square will be 4 1/4 inches. So 4 and then the quarter mark there, lined up now with that cut edge and lining up with the straight edge on the top of the, let me just double check these instructions. I'm just having, you know when you just think, hang on, I know this, but now I'm like,
All
you
the time.
doubt yourself, don't you?
All the time.
Yes, 4 1/4. I suddenly thought, is it 4 1/2? No, it's 4 1/4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're so used to working with extra half inch, aren't we, that suddenly when somebody gives us a different measurement, we're like, is that right? So I'm going to cut that piece there into 4 1/4. So obviously that's 5 inches by 4 1/4. Well, so we'll just turn that round and we'll line it up again and we'll cut 4 1/4.
If you've got the itty bitty rulers, then they're great
they're
for
really
this, aren't they?
helpful.
Because they do really help.
So
Claire's got her cup of tea at the ready. She's got her washing on. She can't
oh,
wait.
she's all organised.
I'm on load number 3 this morning.
Yeah, but you get up at silly o'clock, don't you?
I know, but
I'm lucky if I can get one load in before I leave in the morning.
I have 9 loads stacked up, ready to go. I think I might have been a bit slovenly.
Children. So the next one size square we actually need 2, and it's 3 7/8. Now, I've said this before, if you're a little bit worried about your 7/8, the creative grid rulers have the little notch for the 1/8 mark, so it's very easy to see. But if you think about 3 7/8, it's nearly 4, so I line it up with the 4 and then I move it across just that 1/8. And we need to cut 2 of those, so I'm going to cut 2 pieces that are 3 7/8. I'm just going to take that back out again. I'm just going to keep my scrap so we can see how little wastage there is. Turn it round and then trim that off so that we've got a 3 7/8 inch square. And we need 2 of those.
I'm just trying to find the link for the cushion. It's the cushion pattern. Someone was asking. Let me find it. Let me find it for you.
Then the next square that we need is 2 3/4. That's an easy one to see. Sometimes when you're cutting strips off, you might just need to straighten the edge again because it sometimes goes a little bit off. I don't know why it does it, but it does it. So just take a little bit off there and just straighten that off. So 2 3/4. Turn it round. 2 3/4 square. And we just need 1 of those. And then we need to go right down now to 2 3/8. Now 2 3/8 is one that we've probably not talked about before, but it's just before 2 1/2 because it's 1 2 3/8 on the ruler. So you go to the 2 1/2 mark and then come back 1. Just cut that down there and you need 2 2 3/8 squares and you'll get those both out of that piece. So 1.
They are all made the same way, aren't they? All the colours are the same.
Yes. So you're going to do that with each of your 4 strips. So you've got these bits of remnant, even that little scrap there. So that's not, I mean, you might be able to use that, but those pieces there, they're just scrap. But then you've still got all of this left for your stash. Whereas if you'd cut it down into a 4 1/4 strip, you'd still have all of that left. But I think a 5 inch strip is much handier than a 4 1/4 inch strip. So you'll do that with all of your colours. Fabric K. We'll put those in there now. Fabric L. Oh, I did miss off, sorry. I've missed off one lot of cutting on there. You need another strip, sorry, of 1 1/4. So you take 1 1/4 inch strip off there and you'll cut 4 1¼ inch squares. Now, everything being equal, you should get all 4 squares out of the one strip, but you've got plenty if you don't, so don't panic. If I haven't cut it quite straight, then you may not get it. Yeah, that's just a little bit short, so I'm going to cut another one. It's less than 1/8, but sometimes you just want it to be right, don't you? So there we go. 4 1¼ inch squares. How tiny are they? It's like, yeah. So you still got all of this left. So still nice to play with. You can cut that into 5-inch squares and stick it with your charm packs. Or keep it just in case you make a mistake with one of your other blocks when you're doing your cutting. At least you know you've got a 5-inch strip of spare. And that's fabric P. So in this block we've got fabric B, fabric K, fabric L and fabric P. We're going to put, all this cutting here will make all 4 blocks. I'm going to just show you how
all of that?
Yeah, I'm just going to show you how to make one block for now.
Okay.
But what you can do is you can chain piece this. You can do each sequence, all 4 blocks at once. It's really easy to do, and because with the cutting, you're cutting it for all 4 pieces.
Yes, of course.
It works quite well.
Oh, morning, Elizabeth and Sue and Michelle and Jane and Sue and Joe again. Hello, hello. Everybody's coming in.
So what we've done is we've done...
Does it matter which way round they all go?
I have put it in a sequence purely for making it easier for people. But actually, the block, when you twist it round, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And what I've done on this one is I've twisted it on a
hang on.
quarter each time, so that the fabric B is in a different quarter.
Oh, okay.
Again,
Oh, that's very good.
And you can do that. So the main thing is starting with, I think actually I go this way, but it's dark and light against each other. So what you're going to do first of all is you're going to make a 4 patch. So fabric L, is it fabric L? Yes, fabric L to fabric B. Let's just get that on there. Make my stitch length a bit bigger. 1/4 inch seam as always. L to B and then K to P. So you've got your 4 patch there. We've got 2 pieces together, and if we press the seam, at this point I would suggest you just finger press it rather than taking it to your iron because it's so tiny.
It is super diddly tiddly tiny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, Jane, what is the finished size for this?
It's 6 inches finished, so it should come out at 6.5. And then we'll sew those 2 strips together.
Awesome.
The border is 6.5 cut, so the block is 6.5, and then obviously when all the seams are together, it comes out at 6. Excuse me. Just have a sip, drink. It's frosty here this morning.
It's beautiful,
It's
isn't
an
it?
absolutely gorgeous day. It's that lovely, crisp
I suddenly realised as I went
autumnal day.
to let the ducks out this morning that my microphone was on and Josh could probably hear me chatting away to the ducks. He must think I'm a bit bonkers.
Has to be done. So with the 4 patch, as always, we can do that little twiddle there, undo the seam and just press them in opposite directions just to give us that flatter finish. And I am going to just press that now just to make sure it's nice and square. Obviously with smaller pieces like this, they can stretch and go out of shape. So if you're a particularly, it's a 2-inch square. So if you want to trim it down, then, you know, go for it. We know who we are. We know what we can live with. So the next thing is we're going to take the 2 3/4 inch square. That's the single one there. And we're going to cut that
There we go.
into 4. Now what you can do is you can layer these all up in one go on top of each other, and you can cut them all at the same time. So you're cutting it into 4 across both diagonals to get yourself 4 triangles. So that way, and if you've got a rotating cutting mat, all the better, because it makes it easier to cut. We'll do it for the next one. Oops.
It's just down behind the quilt.
Yeah, I'll lift it up.
In my little thingy of thinginess. That makes total sense, don't you?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So you've got 4 quarters there, and by doing that, you've cut them all together at the same time. So that makes life a little bit easier for you. And as I said, you can do all 4 blocks in one go. So with fabric B square on your left hand side at the top, take your fabric B triangle. Now you can fold this in half, point to point, and just do a little finger press there to get a little notch. And then you know that if you line that up, that little notch up with the seam here, you're going to be in the middle.
Do you want to show that on a close-up, Jane? Because that's a little bit far away.
So we folded the triangle in half.
Yeah.
And actually, if you fold it wrong sides together, it does make it a little bit easier. So just finger press that so you've got a little notch. You can see that little notch there. You probably can't see it. And then when you put that right sides together, that little notch will sit on the seam between the 2 squares. So you want fabric B on your top left hand side, and you're going to place the B triangle across the top there, and if you've lined that up,
a little bit lower so we can see.
if you've lined that up,
that's it.
You'll see it's got an overhang of approximately 1/4 inch either side. You'll also see that the point of the triangle sits on the seam as well.
That's how I always know where to line it up.
Yeah.
That's kind of the giveaway, isn't it?
On this first one, that's easy to see. As you go round, it gets a little bit harder, but not difficult. Not difficult. Just, you know, take your time. You are working with small pieces and you're working with biased edges. On this first triangle, because you've cut it into 1/4 square triangles, you've got 2 biased edges to the point. So when you're pressing it, I really would say just be very careful, because these 2 edges here.
Oh, hang on.
Where are we?
Where do you want to be?
Where do we want to be?
There we go.
These 2 edges here are cut on the bias.
So best press away.
Yeah, just
Best press ahoy.
just use your best press, starch, whatever you use, quite liberally on this one, because it's tiny. So we've done the B against the B. We're going to turn the square around completely, and this time we've got fabric K, I think it is on the top. Yeah, fabric K. And we're taking that triangle and we're placing that across the top. And we're going to sew that, so it's the opposite side. And if you remember that the colour that you're doing is the colour that's on the left-hand side. So even if you get your square in a muddle, just remember the top left-hand colour is the one of the triangle that goes with it.
Cool.
That's the easy way to remember
Yeah,
it.
that is. I was just that was going to be my next question. Is there an easy way to remember it?
I think it's better to go opposite triangles rather than go round. You can go round, but I think you've got more chance of your square distorting shape if you go round. It's a bit like when you sew your strips together. sew them in pairs, sew them in fours, etc. So we're putting fabric P triangle on next. So we've got fabric P on the top left hand side of the square, and we're just lining that up, and it's going to go over the edge there. That's your 1/4 inch seam allowance.
No.
This is so that you don't...
I'm behind you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I moving?
No, it's me. It's me. I'm trying to do two things at once and doing
Looking at
neither
all the
one very
messages
well.
as well as trying to be
Yeah. Just
cameraman.
trying to sort out where that pattern's gone.
So we press that down. Just very carefully. I'm actually just pressing, if you can see, I'm just pressing on the seam. I'm not even going anywhere near those sides because it will, with them being so small, it will move and pull out of shape if we're not careful. Go.
This is one where you want to have your iron and your machine and your cutting mat sort of close to each other.
Like
if you have to keep running downstairs to find stuff, it's not going to be a whole load of fun.
No. And as I say, if you're doing this chain piecing, you'll have 4 squares like this now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim those ears off because it just makes life a little bit easier. But what I'm making sure is, can we go close up?
Yeah, always.
You can see here you've got your seam allowance there. You want to make sure that you've got at least, well, ideally you'd want 1/4 inch.
So when you go perpendicularly up.
Yeah, so don't be tempted to trim it level with the edge of the square because you'll lose the points of your square. So we're just going to trim that off. Just making sure the 1/4 inch seam is there and literally just trimming those little ears off. The concentration.
I know, the
it's
concentration.
So tiny.
Yeah, they are. I've left my perfect 5 ruler somewhere and it would have been absolutely, well, perfect for this bit, wouldn't it?
Yeah. There we go. I've trimmed a little bit of an excess off on one side there. It's obviously just gone a little bit over, but that's fine. It just makes life easier now. You've got fabric B, sorry, on your left hand side at the top again. And we're taking the 2 and skipped ahead in my instructions now. I just want to double check this. I've been doing it. I've done about 6 of these in the last few days, but I just want to be doubly sure. So your 2 and 3/8 squares now. And again, you can lay these all up together and cut them if you feel confident. If you don't feel confident and you're worried that the fabric's going to slip, do them one at a time.
That's the thing, isn't it? Know your limits.
Yeah, and you've got all the time. You've got a whole month to make these or longer. You know, I think there may be some people that might even be saving all their blocks up and going to give themselves, you know, a nice long weekend to do the whole quilt. There will be people like that. There'll be others that are doing it as we speak. So we're just making half square triangles with these triangles now. So they're just cut through one diagonal. So you're still going to have 4 of each colour. But this time you've got straight edges on the point, so it makes life a little bit easier for you. Less chance of pulling it across the bias, but of course you've got to remember that the straight edge, the long straight edge now is a bias. So you've got biased edges going on all over the place. So we're going to put B now across the top of there. Now you can fold this again in half, finger press it, but this time you want to be so that that crease is level with where the point of the square is. So because you've got a seam going across, but that's your seam allowance. so it does fall in that point. But you've got 1/4 inch either side, so as long as you've got your 1/4 inch either side, you'll be okay. I'm going to push that up
Nope.
and out of the way. Sorry.
I'm just playing catch and pressing the wrong buttons. My fingers are all over the place today. I do apologise. I'll get there.
Just press that down. HP's just let herself back in. She's like, I'm watching this whether you like it or not. And then we've turned the block over, and again opposite side, so we're placing fabric K. It's on the left hand side at the top, so that's the way we go. We always follow the colour that's on the left hand side at the top.
Right, I think we are finally there with everything, and I can give you the, here we go, the link for everything that is cattail based on the show today.
Lovely.
I'm going to pop that in the comments section now for everyone. Sorry. There we go. So if you want the block, and now I promise, oh no. Oh, this is farcical. Come on. Come on, me. Sorry, I'm doing a dreadful job with the old cameras this morning. Right, there we go.
Okay, so we've
I'm
got,
with you.
we're on
Back in the room.
opposite corners now. So if you're doing your 4 blocks, you can do all of these triangles in one go, and it comes together quite quickly.
Yeah, because you just
You just
like you
keep
said,
going round,
yeah.
and you'll do all 4 all in one go.
Because otherwise it is one that just takes a little bit of time and thinking about, isn't it?
Yeah, and you might want to just do your first one first, do one on its own, so you've got the idea of how it goes round, and then you think, right, okay, I can do the other 3, I can chain piece those now, I've got the method in my head,
And off we go.
and you can just go.
Morning, Jan. Jan just joined us, as has Valerie and Heather. Hello. Hello, hello.
Hello, everybody.
And Laurie
good
as well.
morning.
Now, you see, Laurie's a big cat lover. Which one is going to be the one for you, Laurie? Is it going to be the Moda cats with the cream cats, or is it going to be the jazzy cats?
So we've got that all going round now, and again we're just going to trim those ears off, and again making sure that we've got that 1/4 inch going on, just because
Tell
we
you what
don't
it
want to
is.
lose any edge of it.
The kids have been on my iPad, and they've made the screen really sticky.
Oh right.
So when I'm pressing the buttons, it's taking forever to change them. Hang on, let me see if I can give it a quick clean. Sorry, everyone. I'm sitting there.
This is what
pressing
happens
away.
in life, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's I made the mistake of taking it upstairs so that I could watch the last few episodes of Schitt's Creek. I'm nearly at the end, and yeah, but it means that in the morning when Emily wakes up, she sees an iPad,
Yeah, it's
and that's it. Those sticky fingers are all over it, wanting some sort of Paw Patrol based excitement.
So
This is looking lovely.
It's coming together now. You're starting to see that swirl. So the next one is the 4 1/4 inch square, and we're cutting that one into 4.
Oh, so layering them up, but only
Layering
if you feel
them up.
confident to.
Yes, and you know, we're all know how we feel. I'm just going to go and get that 1/4 inch rotating cutting mat.
She disappeared behind the cushion and the curtain.
There we go. So the rotating cutting mat, particularly if you're cutting things into 4, is fantastic because you can lay that down on your mat there, cut through your one diagonal easily enough, taking all care. And then instead of trying to contort yourself, and if you haven't got much cutting space, just being able to rotate that mat round.
Just means you can do it safely,
and
doesn't
then
it?
go again. Yeah, and it gives you that confidence to know that you're going to be safe, because sometimes when you're cutting like in a different way, if you start to try and cut like that, which I don't recommend cutting towards yourself at all.
Oh, no, that's
but
a big no.
the chances of you going like that are much more likely. You're more likely not to stay on the ruler and cut your square wrong.
And that's just you.
And it's frustrating, and the chances are of you cutting yourself are greater, and it just makes life safer and more comfortable, I think.
Oh, hello, Diane and Joe and Noreen. Hello, they've just joined us, as has Lynn. Have you got a picture of the jazzy cats made up, please? No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Bear with.
Just bear with. We'll come to that. We'll come to that.
It's like Jane has a plan or something, isn't it?
She
only came up with this idea last night. I have to tell you, this was. Oh, she can't keep away from you today, Jane.
We love each other, don't we?
Are you wearing catnip or something?
Not intentionally. I don't know what the base of my perfume might be, but I'm pretty sure it's not catnip.
She can't keep away from you. Morning, Jenny. Hi, Debbie. Everyone's joining us. So, yeah, Lynn, you're just going to have to stay tuned. And there we go.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, we will.
We will talk about it. I think it's going to be gorgeous. That's my feeling on the matter.
So that's the triangle, the B triangle on top of the
do you want to show that on a close-up, Jane? Should we do that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Why not? We have the technology.
So, top left-hand side is the colour that we've gone with for the triangle. And we're going to go top and bottom and then side and side. Just because I feel that you're less likely to distort your square doing it that way.
Now, Susie, who has just arrived a little bit late because she was revelling in a dry dog walk this morning, says that for her rotating cutting mat, she loves it when she's using creative grids with any kind of curve on. Just makes it so much easier to cut round. Good point, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, hello, Martina, she's joined us, and Tracy as well. Karen, let me give you the info for the cushion kit. It wasn't loaded. Yeah, there you go. That's all of the link to anything cat based this morning.
And again, because this 4 1/4's cut on the 4, you've got 2 biased edges here. So when you're pressing it, just try and keep your iron onto the seam rather than going like that, because you've got more chance of stretching it if you try and iron it.
Yeah, it's just a clamp it down on top job, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, if you're confident with your finger pressing, I would just finger press the whole of this first. Or if you've got one of those little seam roller things. You know,
we need to get some of those, don't we?
They're quite handy, particularly when you're doing small
little things, yeah.
Things.
Lynn says, last night, I'm impressed. Yeah, it was about 3 o'clock, wasn't it, yesterday? You went,
yeah, and
I know what I'd really like to do.
I said, I can do this with this block, because I know that everybody that's watching isn't necessarily subscribed to the block of the month, and although, yes, it's nice to watch the demonstration, if you can have another project as well that you think that you might like to have a go at that incorporates that block, I think that's quite a nice thing to do.
See,
to
I
show you
love
what
this
else
block.
you can do with it.
Yeah, I absolutely love this block, and I did it with a creative grid. Now we've got 2 different size creative grids that will do pretty much this for you. Well, not for you, it makes it sound like it's going to sew itself, doesn't it? But
it does make it, with like all creative grids, it just makes it slightly easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Maggie wants to know if the cat's tail pattern will be a download. It will, but like we say, Jane came up with this last night, so we just need to finish sending the instructions across. This is the process. We come up with stuff, we make it, we photograph it, we then write up all the instructions, we send them across to Josh. He makes them all pretty.
He works magic on them, he's amazing.
Yeah. Like, then it gets...
It looks like a proper pattern.
Yeah, it's a real boy. And then it gets proofread by as many people as we can get to proofread it, and then it will. So it takes it. Yeah,
Takes a few days.
It takes a little bit, but then Maggie, when we're confident with that, it will go up as a digital download as well. But if you want the paper version, you can order that now and that will be sent out to you as soon as we can. Claire's laughing at HP perfectly posing in front of the cat cushion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
like we planned it. And
Absolutely. Okay, so we're on the last round now. So that's the 3 7/8 squares. Again, we're going to cut these just through one diagonal, and this is the beauty of this pattern. Anybody think it had been thought out? The final cut, with it being half square triangles, you're going to have the straight of grain on the outside edges, so your block will have straight of grain, so it's less likely to distort as you sew it into your border. So 3 7/8 squares, just cut through one diagonal, and that will give you 4 triangles of each colour. And as I say, this is lovely because you're cutting all of your fabric all in one go, so you can
just
do
pop them to
all
one
4
side.
of them. So again, I'm starting with the B on my top left hand side, just lining that up. So I've got 1/4 of an inch either side, triangle.
I think Half Pint's annoyed that you didn't do a black cat in the cat's tails. She'd just like to fulfill that gap
Yes,
in your design.
obviously needed to have a black cat in it, didn't it, HP?
Yeah. She's gone, forget these chocolate cats.
And we're going opposite again, so we've got K on the left hand side, so we're putting K triangle opposite to B.
Oh. There we go.
I'm whizzy,
I found
aren't
you.
I?
Yeah.
Whizzy.
I don't know what's going on with my iPad this morning.
Opposite sides. Lining that up.
Margaret says we just can't see the little pile of dreamies that HP is obviously attracted to.
Yeah. I think it's very simple. She's a lady of mature years and she likes the warmth. She'll quite often come and sit right up against the sewing machine, won't she? Because
she loves
the light. The
Yeah.
light gives her warmth, and I think that's what it's down to. It's got nothing to do with me. It's just this is one of the warmest rooms in the house.
Only because I just bought a new heater. Otherwise it was one of the coldest. Eric was not impressed with the fire, that's why he didn't want to stay, because it's a fan one.
Yes.
And he was like, oh, I don't know about that. It's ruffling my fur a bit.
Yes.
So he decided to go.
Spoiling my good looks.
Yeah. Laurie, we are sending you big hugs this morning, my love. Big, big hugs. Oh, and Elizabeth's off to watch it on the website. She keeps freezing.
Oh dear.
It's driving her a little bit
freezing
mad.
this morning.
Yeah, well it is.
Yeah.
So Freddie and I had to have a conversation this morning about he said it wasn't freezing because although we had a frost, the bucket of water in the back garden wasn't frozen and the duck pond wasn't frozen.
Right.
I say duck pond / paddling pool.
Yeah.
They do get their duck pond though at the weekend. That starts to be
How
dug.
lovely.
Yay! Which was what I was chatting about to the ducks this morning. They were singularly unimpressed.
They'll love it when they've got a pond though, won't they? They'll be so happy.
Oh, yeah.
They're such gorgeous ducks. see
They're
them
coming
most
on in
mornings
leaps and
they're just
bounds, aren't they?
lovely. Yeah.
And they make the most beautiful noise. I love ducks. And they just chat away.
They do. Mum's got some wild ones
Oh, is she?
on her bit of pond at the front of the house, and they've become, over the summer, when we had not much else to do but sit and outside and watch them, they've become not tame but quite used to us being there.
Yeah, yeah.
And they come right up, and they chatter, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, they really do. And the drakes have different voices to the ducks, and you can really tell the difference. Because the ducks are white, you'd be forgiven. All of our ducks are white. You'd be forgiven for not knowing. Like with mallards, it's really easy to tell.
Yes, it's
because the ladies are brown and the guys have got all the fancy schmancy colours.
That's it. But they don't have those all year round, as we've discovered. They lose their green heads when it's not mating season.
They do a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mallards were the very first type of ducks we ever had. We had them as ducklings off Mrs. Cottingham, my school teacher when I was tiny. Yeah.
So there you are. There's your block.
Well, that's beautiful.
Not difficult to do. I think the thing is, keep yourself focused on it. Give yourself a routine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the sort of block that you could go away and answer the phone and come back to, because you might have forgotten where you are.
Every chance.
Focus yourself on it. But if you try and remember that whatever colour you've got on your top left-hand side is the colour that you then put on next, that sort of helps.
And you can do it if you're doing it. I mean, you could do it with the half metre heavens as well. You could just do it with two
colours, yeah.
And so imagine doing 4 of those, then intertwined as a 4-patch cushion.
You get a lovely effect, because it sort of gives you this S effect.
Oh, beautiful!
When you put 4 together.
That's lovely. Hang on,
So
let's have a little. There it is.
There it is. There's your block. So you're going to have 4 of those. Put them with your other blocks that you've made so far, ready to put
in your
into
block
your borders.
keeper.
In your little block keeper.
Yeah.
So, making the cats. There's the cat block.
Ah, there you go, Lindsay.
There's your jazzy cat, Linda. Lindsay, sorry.
Shall we? Oh.
Can you see him? There we go.
Should we go close?
Let's go close.
Let's go close.
There you go.
Oh, I see. So is that a cat head?
That's the head, and that's the body.
Oh, nice.
And when you put it with your 4-patch, your snail trail, cat twisted tails.
Oh, that's it. Snail trail. That's the other one, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's got 4 names. It's got twisted tails, snail trail, and then wave.
Looks great either way.
Yeah. So let's show you how to make this ear cat then.
Can we just have a little close up on that middle twirly whirly bit, please? Which is obviously its other name.
That's the 4 colours that we've got in that kit, and we're using the black for the background, because I felt with those jazzy colours, a black would really make it pop. But I think it would look equally nice on a white background, but I think black really sets it off.
Oh, it really does. It really does, I think.
Okay, so your cat block. We will have instructions properly. If I can quickly go over what you need. You've got a 2-inch, this is the background fabric, so the black is the background. So I've got a 2-inch square, a 3.5-inch square, 3 1-inch squares.
What?
How tiny are they?
That would be for the cat head scenario. I'm
These
thinking.
little bits on the side. And then this is a 1.5 by 3.5-inch rectangle. That's the background. For the body, we're making, it's going to be a 6-inch finished block. This is why these are these measurements. It's a 6-inch finish, because the middle one's a 6-inch.
Nice.
Finished. 3.5 by 6.5 for the main body. 2.5 by 3.5 for the head.
Yeah.
And 1.5-inch squares for the ears.
Okay.
Right.
Work your magic, Jane.
Okay. So we need to, and I'm going to use the Sew Line marker pen because it's got a white because it'll show up better on here.
Oh, you found it. Well done.
Yeah.
I still can't find my pink one.
Oh.
I don't know what I've done with it.
Borrowed it. We're going to mark across the diagonal of the 1.5 inch squares. Like so. Of the 1.5 inch squares of the coloured fabric.
Yeah.
We're also going to mark across the diagonal of the 1 inch, all the 1 inch squares. Be very careful with these 1 inch ones. Best press them to death. And when you're marking, really do go from the middle out, because with them being so tiny, they're very susceptible to being stretched. And your 2 inch square, so across the diagonal of that one as well. But your 3.5 inch square, you leave that as it is. Doesn't need any marking on it. So there's 3 small squares, the 2 inch square, and your 2 1.5 inch squares from your pattern, plain, whatever fabric, the colour for the cats. Okay, across the diagonals of all of those. You take your background rectangle and place the 1.5 inch squares across the top, with the diagonal going from top left to bottom right, facing in towards the middle of the rectangle, and the other one going in the opposite direction, so top right to bottom left, facing in towards the middle. Now I'm going to do a method here which is known as stitch and flip, and really
Stitch and flip?
yeah, we go back in, we want the needle in the middle position of the, and we're going to sew on the line.
On the line.
On
right.
the line this time, not either side of it or anything, we're sewing actually on the line. Now I'm going to show you something in a minute when we go to do the next ones. You've got very small pieces of fabric here.
Yeah.
Your
Yes.
sewing machine might like to pull it into the middle of your hole in your machine where the needle goes down. Just go a little bit past the corner and start just 1 stitch in. It's done it on that one, it didn't do it on the other one, because it will ruckle it up if you're not careful. So you could, if you wanted to, trim that away, but the less you move this, the better. And with them being so tiny, I'm just going to press that back. I'm not going to trim it off.
Oh, okay.
This is why it's stitch and flip, because you're just flipping it over. I think that's Eric rattling together.
Eric.
He's
changed
banging
his
the
mind.
door, changed his mind. He's decided he needs to be part of the studio gang. I'm just going to just unpick that bit. This is what happens.
Just
It's just
go and let him through before he rips the door.
yeah, I was
off
going to
its
wreck the door.
hinges. I'll be back. I'll leave you on a wide shot there, Jane. Eric.
So I've just literally flipped those back, so I haven't trimmed anything off. You can trim it off, it's only a little bit, but trim it 1/4 inch away and press it back. For the 2.5 by 3.5 inch square, we're going to place a 1 inch square on the bottom 2 corners, again with the diagonal lines facing in towards the middle. And we're going to sew on those lines. Now these are really tight, small squares, and I'm going to make what I call a leader or an ender. Some people call them donkeys or other things. But what it is I'm going to sew onto this first and then sew the line. And that will prevent, that will prevent the needle pulling the square into the machine. So I just sew onto that piece of fabric first, and then I start to line up my piece of fabric that I want to actually sew onto my thread. So I've got that going on. Well, I just trim that off now, and that has stopped that pulling it into the machine. So I'm going to do the same with the other side, the diagonal facing in towards the middle. Place that little bit of fabric on there and just start sewing on that piece of fabric and then lining up.
Jane, have you seen what's happened while I've been gone?
She's sitting in your nice warm chair.
Yeah. My
Prepared to be
chair's
bitten.
gone. Yeah, prepared to be bitten when I try and move her off.
So just trim that bit off, but that's just prevented that from being dragged into the machine. And again, I'm just going to flip these bits over. I'm not going to trim it off. You can imagine if I start, we're talking tiny, tiny little pieces. So it just is a quick way of doing it, really, and you don't end up with lots of little bits of fabric. If you want to trim them off and have the bits, go for it. But it's just another method of doing. So there you've got your ears and your face. For the body, we've got the 2.5 inch square, the 2 inch, square on the left hand side and the inch square on the right hand side. Again, the diagonals facing in towards the middle. So I'm going to sew that one on, and I'm going to use my little bit of scrap fabric again as my leader just to prevent that being dragged into the machine.
Sorry, I think that might have just set my microphone off, having a little bit of a whatever when I went out of range. It's all going on this morning, isn't it?
Put that little inch square in that corner again with the diagonal facing in towards the middle, and we'll use our scrap of fabric again. It really does help with little tiny pieces like this. It just prevents the needle dragging it into the machine.
Which they do, and I don't care what sewing machine you've got.
Yeah, they all do it.
Yeah.
And it just helps prevent that. And it's just a little scrap of fabric, from your offcuts. And again, I'm just going to press those up and away. You might want to trim off the 2 inch square. You don't need to. It's just there.
It's an absolutely perfect one, isn't it, for any cat lover?
Yeah.
Oh, Geraldine's joined us.
Hi, Geraldine.
Hello.
Right, so I've moved my needle back to the 1/4 inch mark. I'm now going to sew the ears to the face, so you can see where it is. You want the small triangles facing at the bottom and the patterned ones at the top. Just line that.
It really pops
up.
on that black, doesn't
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just a 1/4 inch seam down along that edge. And press it so that it goes across the back there and faces towards the face, just because there's less fabric bulk there to make it sit nicely. Well, that's your face. Then you're going to take your 3.5 inch square and you're going to sew that to the side. Now, I've done mine so my cats are facing onto the right hand side because that's the way my tail goes. If you're going to do your square the other way, then you'd have you face that side and you'd have the 2 inch block on the other side. But
so just have a think.
Just make sure, this is the way it's going to go. So the tail follows round. This is the back side, if you like, of the cat.
I think we've seen enough cats' backsides this morning with HP, haven't we? Oh,
so
my
we
goodness.
want to be sure that the background square is on the left-hand side and the face is on the right-hand side for this particular block.
So just be consistent.
Yeah.
Jane, would you chain piece, cut everything out and then just chain piece them all so that you
Yeah, I
were
probably
consistent?
would, and then again, you know, you've got into that rhythm, haven't you? And you've got everything. You're doing everything the same way. And I press the seam underneath the background square again because there's less bulk there. So you've got your background square and your cat's face, and then you're going to sew that to the body. Now you've got two little triangles here that you want to match up, and this is the only place that I would really say to you, just make sure that it is lined up with your pin. So pop your pin through the seam and line it up.
On which bit?
On the small triangles.
Oh, right,
Against
yeah.
the face. The other triangles, they've got no seams to line up with, so don't worry about it. But that one, it would really notice if it wasn't lined up together. Now, if you trim the little seams back, of course, you can press one seam towards the body fabric and one seam towards the background fabric, and then you could nestle that seam. Because I've done the stitch and flip method, there is no seam to nestle.
Geraldine just said that she opened her block package and she said, guess what? I haven't got a ruler that size. It's a good job you do a good demo.
So we're going to press that down. Now, what I found was it doesn't like to press down because there's quite a lot of bulk in the face side of it. So what you can do, where you've got this seam here,
Do you want to go close?
you can do this.
Yeah.
This seam here, I just snipped, not right up to the seam, but just snipped it. Just like a little notch up to the stitch line, not through the stitch line obviously. But then you can just twizzle your seam so it lies flatter. It's not quite the same as doing the unpicking thing, but it won't affect your stitching because the stitch line is still there.
Yeah.
And we've got a little caught mine there, never mind.
We have more names for it. Lynn says you've got Indian puzzle or monkey wrench.
Monkey wrench, yeah, that's another one I know.
Yeah, but she says that she loves the snail trail and she's making the snail trail with various quilts using Tula Pink's Pit Crew from her Slow and Steady collection.
So you would make one of each cat in each of your colours.
Nice.
And you will then cut a 6.5 inch square of your background fabric.
Oh, to go in the corners?
So you would make 6.5 inch square, one cat, 6.5 inch square with two of your cats. And then the other two, you will sew the corresponding, and again, it's keeping it on the top left-hand side, the colour matching your cat. So you would sew two. I'd suggest you lay them out and put them against your twisted tail block first.
Yeah.
To know, and keep them laid out so that you don't get them muddled up.
Oh, hang on a minute. And apparently, if you just keep adding larger triangles, you can make a tornado block.
Ooh, sounds good.
That sounds very exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then we'll add this cat onto this one. So you'd have a row with two background squares and a cat.
Yeah.
Two background squares and a cat. So you'd have two rows like that. And then your middle row will have two cats and your twisted tail block.
Nice. Nice, nice. Oh, that's fab, isn't it?
And then it's a 9-patch block. So you join your 3 rows together.
And hey presto,
That's
Bob's
your
your
middle
uncle.
of your square. I added a border of the background fabric, 2-inch wide strips of fabric, did an envelope back, and then bound the whole thing. So there you go. That's your-
Hold it up, Jack. Hold it up. Let's see it.
There we go.
Oh, beautiful.
And that's lovely if you want something that's a little bit crazy cats rather than your traditional brown cuddly cats.
Perfect.
You
Perfect.
won't get a little notch in yours. You'll make sure that they sit.
Oh.
I'll be unpicking that later.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. Thank
But
you,
that's
Jane.
something that you can do with your wave block if you're not necessarily joining in with the block of the month, or you can do it as well as.
Perfect. It's not an either-or scenario.
No.
You can do both.
And have a play with this block because, as we've just said, if you put them in together, they make really interesting patterns because you get that swirly S shape, or you can get like a shape that goes in a four of the same colour together. So you can have a really good play.
So have a look at your half-metre heavens, because in those you'll always have a pattern with a contrast, which means you can either just use the two or double up with two lots of half-metre heavens, and you're good to go.
Doing it in two fabrics, a plain and a pattern, will give you a lovely effect as well. It's just a really fun block, and it looks really complicated, but it's not. And if you keep your methodology, doing it a methodical way, you're not going to go wrong.
Oh, Jane, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Have you got your William Morris quilt to hand to show for next week?
It's in the box, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Shall I go and get it?
Go on, run.
I'll be back.
So next week is the William Morris quilt that Jane has made for us. She's just running off to go and get it. And it's absolutely beautiful. We will be putting the kit together for you. I've even managed to find some actual William Morris backing fabric and some faux William Morris backing fabric.
Oh yes, I've seen that fabric.
So
it's
everyone's budget is covered.
So this is done with the minerals layer cake. I'm just going to show you this very straightforward. It's not a difficult pattern, and we'll talk a bit about the quilting and everything else. And there's several different layouts, so I've put those on the pattern as well, so that you can have a play with it and see what you can do with it.
I can't wait to see this.
It's lovely. It's a really lovely pattern for a layer cake.
Yeah.
It's not too complicated.
No.
And you don't have too much wastage. So
brilliant. And that used up the whole layer cake, didn't it?
Yeah, I think I had a few squares, about 2 squares left over. Because I've used some in the border here, just joined them together.
So what we will do for next week, we will put, because I know a lot of you have this layer cake, so what we will do is we will put 2 different bundles together. We will put the extras bundle, if you've already got the layer cake and you haven't already assigned it to a job, then we'll do that. And then we'll also do a bundle where you can get maybe 3, all the fabrics, and then a third where you can get the backing fabric in with it as well.
Yes, that's a nice idea.
And then I've covered all bases, and we'll sell as much backing fabric as we can individually as well. Yes.
Yes, lovely.
Yes, there we go.
Super
That's
duper.
the one.
That's
the one.
Lovely. Well, there we go.
Thank you, Jane, so
That was
much.
another whizzy hour, wasn't it? I'm like super whizzy this week.
Yeah, we have been, haven't we? Well, we'll have to make up for it next week.
Yes.
We'll do some long stuff next week. Will that William Morris one be a longer one?
Yeah, I think we'll talk about the quilting a bit on that.
Because the quilting is stunning.
Yeah, it just adds to it. There's because of the way I've done the pattern, there's quite a large blank square, if you like, and I felt we could do a little bit of quilting with that.
So
one.
either get your westerlies out.
Yeah, make perfect for your westerlies.
Yeah, it's nice actually, isn't it, to have a project that is perfect for things like that, and
I mean, I've done the same pattern in each one. I've done it freehand, so they're not all the same. That's the beauty of freehand. And
but it's a handmade thing.
It's a handmade project.
It should be, yeah.
And but with your westerlies, if you've got several of the rulers, you can have a go at making different ones in each square, can't you? Because I know with the westerlies, one ruler will make so many different patterns. Yeah. And it's perfect for practicing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Lovely.
Jane, thank you so much. Right, everybody, we will see you on Monday for Make It Monday. Take care. Have a fabulous rest of the week. Stay safe and all that jazz.
Yeah, stay warm.
Jazzy cats. And yeah, thank you, Jane. We will see you all on Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.